All right, we're live. I got Alex Haigh here, and I'm fired up. I'm going to tell you why I'm fired up, man. I think that, well, I don't think, I know, 87% of realtors, they don't make it in a 5-year span. It's tough. It's challenging. They want to make it, right? But it's tough. So my intent, my goal, long term, right? Of course, we're trying to build a business and we're trying to build a team. And we're trying to sell houses and all these cool things. But long term for me, something that's truly just part of my passion is chasing the idea of building great relationships among all of our local realtors and everybody. I don't care what brokerage you're with. I don't care if you're an individual agent, you got a team, you're a big shot, you're not a big shot, whatever. You are delivering value to the collective group, the collective industry to make everybody better. That is my goal in the end. So when I think of that, I think of Alex Haigh. And Alex Haigh has some pretty incredible value that he delivers on a daily basis. And I send my team there. And they come back better. And it's an awesome role-playing session. I won't even give away the details, man. I'm stealing all your thunder. Alex, tell me what it's all about. Give me the blunt details up front, the when, who, what, where, when, all that good stuff. And then how does it work? What's the magic?
I think that the magic lies within that we're creating community. I think that a lot of people, when they get into the industry, to your point, 87% fail because they get a lot of the rah. They get, you get all this freedom. You know, unlimited glass ceiling for earning and all this kind of thing. And I remember it. So when I got in and I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read Think, Grow Rich. I read, How to Win Friends and Influence People and all this kind of stuff. And so I thought, like, I'm going to get into this thing. And I was all geared up to and I got in 2003, 2002 or so. And the market was just starting to go berserk. And it was like you could throw, like right now, a donkey and you would hit a realtor. There was so many deals going on. It was crazy. I was in the office. I was in a big, I was at a big office that was a small mom and pop, but we had like, I think 250 agents. And it was electric. What was going on in there? And I didn't know what the hell to do. It was like, call your sphere. And I was like, I moved up here. I don't know anybody.
Yeah. What's a sphere?
There was no Red X. There was no any of that, so I figured some things out, but I don't want to kind of get into that. My point is that they were like, training was call your sphere, call for sale by owners. And I was like, well, what do I say to them? And there was no like, well, you talk to them and try to sell their house and, tell them that trying to sell it themselves isn't a good idea. There wasn't any real, we'll get a script like this. If they say this, you say that. And I'm like, well, I would call them and they would say other things that I didn't know what to say. And it was a mess because there really wasn't any order to it, or there wasn't any structure, from an accountability standpoint. So I'll say first and foremost, we have a morning with agents that are not even all on my team, that we have at 6 a.m. accountability of just like, hey, what is your goal? And we had Carlene Wilson just came on, who's been a veteran for 15 years. And, and she's just like, and I kind of doing this, and she's doing okay. She's getting the phones ringing, but she's like, she knows that she needs to be prospecting. And I'm like, hey, get on a morning role play, morning accountability, 6 a.m. What did you do the day before? And what's your goal for today? Just contacts, listing appointments set, right? So it just kind of gets you into that morning groove of like, hey, here's my gig. When you wake up and go to a job, you know what you need to do. With real estate, you kind of know what you need to do, but no one's looking over you. And no one says, hey, what'd you do the day before? So you can kind of start to slip into, an unintentional apathy where you kind of can bounce around from one thing to another. So anyway, I came up with this role play because I had newer agents that came onto my team, the Seth Owens out there, the Derek Wileys, and even the Brian Pruitt, who's been in it for a while. And I said, look, let's start to role play, because it was my job as a leader to help them grow, because I was giving them leads. So I had a vested interest in like, hey, what kind of conversations are these guys having? I wanted to kind of know. And to be honest, Joe, it was a little scary for me. And why was it scary for me? Because I thought I was giving up freedom.
Yeah.
Just like your 7-Eleven role play, right? Like I thought I was giving up freedom, and I'm just being authentic and naked and honest and vulnerable with you guys here. Like I was like, oh man, I got to commit to that. So I know that like, as soon as this, back to this, Stephen Hovey's seven highly effective habits of highly effective people.
7 habits of highly effective people.
7 habits of highly effective people. Thank you. And do you know what the first habit is?
Be proactive.
The first habit is that you have to have influence over yourself. If you do not have influence over yourself, you cannot influence others, right? And it comes in, well, I'm not trying to influence somebody to jump off a cliff. I want to be able to influence people to do more, to like what you're talking about, to grow, right? So I had to have influence over myself to create this 8 a.m. accountability / role play, right? So the next thing that I wanted to learn was I did not want to get into scripting. I do not believe in scripting. I think it sounds very robotic. And at the end of the day, most people don't want to sound scripted. So how do you not sound scripted? You want to have a conversation. You want it to sound conversational.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, you know what? Let's get back to basics. Because I noticed kind of like how I've had conversations over the years. And I've learned that what it is, it's LP Mama.
Yeah.
It's listing, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment. And then how do you intermingle within that so that you create rapport? Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Yep. You want to get people talking about their family? The first thing you want to get, if you read, what's the one, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Somebody will walk away from a meeting with you and they could have talked for 25 minutes and you talk for 5 minutes. If they talk for 25 minutes, they'll say you're a great person.
Yep.
And so she who holds the conversation, controls the conversation, controls it through questions. And look, It's not a control thing of like, we're trying to manipulate people. We want to help people figure out in the shortest period of time how they can buy and sell real estate, right? Yes. You want information, and that's helping them. It's a Socratic approach to asking good questions, right? So I was like, we're going to do this role play with teaching them how to have great conversations. So we started off that, I kind of come in and like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about today. Quick few minutes. It's a little bit of a, hey, could be a Jim Rohn quote, could be this, could be that, could be talking about victim, persecutor, paradigm, savior, paradigms, right? Like just a little bit of that. And then into, okay, guys, we're getting into role play. LP Mama, no squirreling, no water cooler talk, no talking about your personal life. We get right into role play, and it's listing. So we role play. So, you get in there with somebody, and Candace, our amazing, wonderful Candace, waves her magic wand in Zoom, and it disperses everybody into different rooms. Sometimes you're 3 people into a room. Most of the time you're 2 people in a room, and one person's going to play. And now your guys come in there. A lot of them, they are role playing circle prospecting. Django, who's in our organization, he's doing FSBOs, he's doing expireds. John Krusnick, I always mispronounce his name, and your guy George, our guy George, they're doing different kinds of role play, buyers, sellers, right? So what we're teaching in there is how to have great conversations, and then ultimately, so listing, right? Hey, you wanted me to stop here, Joe? Do you want to ask any more questions into this? Because I can get really rolling on it.
No, I just think this stuff is awesome, man. Like really with anything. I don't care if you're going to be a wide receiver in the NFL or if you are going to figure out how to trade on the market or if you're going to be a real estate agent. The way to get better, whether your skills are here or whether they're here, is reps, Yep. Like I think back to, and I used wide receiver in the NFL because Jerry Rice, ask anybody. He was not the best. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most athletic. There was nothing impressive about Jerry Rice. But that dude showed up earlier than anyone, stayed later than anyone, studied his routes better than anyone, ran those routes 1,000,000 times so that him and Joe Montana, they weren't even thinking. They weren't even looking at each other. Joe just knew, boom, 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 boom. That was it. It was done. And it was in his hands every single time. When you do this kind of stuff so many times, Cammie was saying the other day, right? Cammie was saying, it's so interesting because I get Joe Rosen's perspective. And it doesn't matter how good you think Joe Rosen is. Let's say you think he's the greatest thing in the world. You need to hear what Alex is saying. What is George saying? What's Django saying? Because they're going to have a different spin on it. And if your personality is a little bit different than my personality or Django's personality, you need to hear George's version of that. And when you hear that, you can steal it and say, I don't know that I like the way that Joe brought that up. It doesn't jive with my personality, but man, the way that George said it, that feels comfortable. So you take it, you make it your own, you put your own spin on it. And I just, with anything, the more reps you get, man, the smoother you get, the better you get. And it's not just about sounding like a good salesman. It's about truly having a clear communication, a really efficient talk with somebody.
Yep. So we're teaching people how to have great conversations. Awesome, Al. Thanks for coming in. Absolutely. And, that's what, so there's nothing like, there's no grind to it, and we all have, feedback at the end, right? So then we all come back in and I'm moderating it. It's like, okay, hey, Al, who were you with? What came up? What did they do right? What did you do right? What could they have done better? So we talk about what they did right. And then we give positive, conscious feedback about how they could have done better. And so we all have the framework of listing, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment. How do you ask someone, hey, you don't ask them, are you working with another agent? Because what does that mean to a lot of different people? Thank you, Deb. It is just a conversation. So it's not about working with another agent, because working with might be that somebody's sending them listings. Do you have a commitment to another agent? Little nuances like that. Pick up that nugget that goes a lot farther within a conversation. What is it also? We also try to teach to Jordan Belfort. What do you want to be? You want to be sharp as a tack, you want to be enthusiastic, and you want to be an expert in your field. You have 4 seconds to establish that. Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. I don't think you have 4 seconds, but if you want to be in a conversation, you want a conversation with Joe Rosen, he's going to be enthusiastic. He's going to come across as sharp as a tack, and he's going to be an expert in his field. And how do you become an expert in your field? You don't necessarily have to know about what kind of the verbiage in an as-is contract that, if buyer determines in buyer's sole discretion that property is not acceptable to buyer may cancel this contract by written notice. Thereupon, buyer or seller shall be released of all further obligations under this contract, and monies paid shall be returned to buyer.
Now you're just showing off.
Right? No, I'm just saying you don't need to know that.
Yep.
Now, go through those reps. You're going to sound like an expert in your field. My point is that if you ask really good questions, you come across as an expert in your field. And how do you ask really good questions? Back to your thing, Joe, you got to be in a room with people that keep giving you reps about how they ask good questions. And I'll give you a little story here, and we'll get into it a little bit. John, who came over to our group here in EXP, and this is not an EXP thing. You guys want to come into this thing and stick with your company, as long as you're in here to learn and get better, that's what we really are all about. Yeah. John came in and was like, and he was with us for a little bit, and he found himself in a listing appointment bringing up the things that we brought up that helped him get the listing. He was like, oh my God. You might have a Cammy with those stories. You probably have an Al, where you're going to hear yourself. If you go over enough, it's like shooting free throws. There's people that can shoot free throws with their eyes closed. How do you shoot free throws with your eyes closed? You had to have done it 1,000 times over. You memorized it. Thank you, George. I was looking for years for something like this. Thanks to Alex, and has improved my conversation immensely with my prospects because I practice it in a rigid script. And George has been in the industry for decades.
He's killing it.
He's been in the industry for decades. And I think it's just such a testament to someone like George that says he's like a Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? Like, how can I get better? You know what I mean? He's humble. He's hungry still because he's got a family to feed. He's hungry for knowledge. And he's hungry, he's humble, and he's coachable.
Yep.
He doesn't come from a place of I know it all. Yep. He comes from a place of how can I learn more? How can I get better? How can I learn that one in that half an hour? How can I learn one thing that I might be able to deploy into a conversation that might make all the difference in saving a deal, bringing someone up that they have a better idea of what's going on? That is where you want to learn. You don't want to learn. So back to where we started this thing, I was like, I don't want the newer agents learning on leads that are, might be $1 million. Like Derek Wiley's an amazing. Derek Wiley got a listing for a $3.3 million listing that we ended up selling. He did this stuff. He did the reps. He got better. He asked good questions. And it just makes my heart sing, Joe, because at the end of the day now, for me, I've told you this before, selling and buying, I don't really work with many buyers anymore. That doesn't, that's more of a job to me now. Like that's going through the motions in a way. I still do it. I try to do it with care and grace and love. But I do it for so long, it doesn't give me that same rush. But seeing the agents grow, hearing stories like that from George, hearing something that John got a nugget in there that helped him get a listing, that he went in there and just like, hey, man, this is how you go in. You don't need to have all this fancy listing presentation that somebody tried to sell you online. We're not selling coach. I think this is high level coaching, because we do a thing after, which is real estate conversations, which a guy like George sticks around for. We did it this morning. We were talking about how do you negotiate furniture? It's like half an hour there. And I asked everybody in the room, I'm like, how would you do it? 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 And I got all answers from, I bring an attorney in. I would write it in the additional clauses on the contract. I'm like, don't bring, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, guys, you get to learn right here. This is a real estate conversation. This is not my deal got screwed up and the buyers are so stupid, or, not that real estate agents say things like that, guys out there. If you're a seller or a buyer, real estate agents don't say that kind of stuff. But the point is that, you're learning without having to screw up while you're learning on someone that you should be really having the highest level of care for.
That matters.
So learn in here, right? Yeah. You learn in practice.
Yeah.
You don't want to learn out on the court. I mean, you've got to learn out on the court, but want to learn as much as you can in practice before you get out there on the court. So
honestly, I think the cool thing that, we're trying to implement in all this, because it's not about EXP. It's not about your team. It's not about my team. Again, it's about the whole area's local professionals. So it really doesn't matter what brokerage you're with. It doesn't matter how good you are, how experienced you are. In fact, I would say the less experience you have, the more this would help. But absolutely show up. You're all invited. There's no pitch. I know we're growing really fast and we're always promoting that on Facebook. And so I've gotten into conversations with people and they expect to be pitched. I'm like, guys, literally of the 22, 23 agents I brought on, I've never pitched any of them without them asking me, you come into this, no pitch. We want you guys to get better. We want you to learn. Steal it all and take it back to your brokerage and use it. Right? Use it to go sell some houses, to help your buyers, to help your sellers. And really, this isn't it's not tricky sales speak. It's not how to trick somebody into saying yes. It's how to have a really clear, concise, accurate, efficient conversation, how to really open your mind and really engage them and ask good questions that get good answers. And guys, you can steal this and use it with your wife, use it with your husband, use it with your kids, use it with anybody. Honestly, it's just good communication skills. And I think that opening this up to anybody who wants it is awesome. And I will say this, if any of you guys do want it, you know where we're at, right? We're on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can DM me and ask for the link. Shoot me your email. We'll give you the link. And that link never changes. Come in anytime you'd like. Take advantage of it. Come in 5 days a week. It's Monday through Friday. What is it? 8 to 9 o'clock, right?
The role play is 8 to 8:30.
Yep. And then what's 8:30 to 9?
8:30 to 9 is real estate conversations. So we start off first with, hey, who's having a screwed up thing right now? Any of you guys have a screwed up deal going on and you'd like some advice on it? Now, if anybody has, thank you, brother. George saying massive coaching value. Thank you, man. I think it's important to give back. It does make this, I really love this stuff. I love talking with Joe. We love teaching. There certainly is an attraction side to it, but if you're not attracted to it and you just want to take the content, we think we're making the industry a better industry. And it's going to be, water raises and lowers all boats. And so if we make us all better, it's just going to make real estate agents as a whole who are probably perceived to be one notch above used car salespeople in some instances, and maybe even some instances lower than that. So I think it's important to change that perspective, that narrative, and to give us, all, just a better name. And I think that it's important to give back. And this is one of the ways I do it every day. And we've been doing it now for going on almost 9 months. I wanted to see kind of how it would go at first. We're probably pretty soon going to go live with it. We won't go live with the breakout rooms, where Candace and I are trying to figure out how to have me go live. So whoever goes with me will have to agree to go live. But John had me this morning. I played my Texas guy. I turned off my camera, and we're moving down from Texas, and just throwing him off a little bit with an accent.
Yep.
Right. And we try to teach. So ultimately, you want to get through LP Mama. It doesn't have to go sequence, but it does start off with, hey Joe, so you noticed you came onto our website and you were cruising around and you were looking for a property in Port St. Lucie. Are you still looking for property in Port St. Lucie? That's listing.
Yep.
Or if they inquired about a specific 123 Main, I noticed you inquired about 123 Main Street. Is that the only property you're looking at? Can I get you more information on that? That's listing. Yep. Boom. Okay. So that, you're looking around there. I noticed you're looking in kind of the range between 200 and 300,000. What brings you to that thought that you're looking in that range? Just asking, and then you kind of stumble off. Yeah. You do it really well.
I want to point something out too. Like the way you're asking these questions, and you're doing it so, obviously you've had a million reps with this, right? But I think if you're just watching this and you're newer, if you've only sold 10, 20 properties, you're not seeing the little nuances, the details of how he's presenting it, right? The simple question. So you've got a really big one that you use all the time with, instead of saying, are you pre-approved? You say,
well, let me ask you this. Are you going to be paying cash for the property, or are you going to be getting a mortgage?
Yeah. And it's that right there. Like that took reps. You had to fail a bunch and say things that didn't get you the answers you wanted before you learned how to say that. And you found, that gets me a much better answer much more often. I'm going to keep using that. So this is why the role playing is so helpful. Yeah. It's seeing those things live.
And then then you ask that, and they say, and then you'll know if they've been pre-approved or not. If they say, well, we're going to probably put some money down. That means that they need to get a mortgage, but they haven't been pre-approved. Yeah. Right. So if you know that into it, then you know how to ask the next great question. Deb, you're so awesome. You're making a difference, a huge difference. Truly, there are few good with the coaching. You will help the industry. Thank you so much, Deb. Means a lot. Deb's been in the industry for a long time. And, she's a young woman, but she's been in the business for a long time. So thank you so much for that, Deb. So then you get into mortgage, and what we try to teach, and again, into the agent is, do you have a commitment? It's just little nuances, guys. If you take a nugget out of this thing right here, don't ask people if they're working with another agent, because that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So what we're looking for is the appointment. So that's why it's at the end. Now, you can preface the conversation so that I teach this kind of stuff where you're setting up, because if you're talking to somebody new on the phone, especially an internet lead or your circle prospect, and they don't know you from a bar of soap, right? So you have to build rapport in order to build the trust to set the appointment for later. The first thing that we were teaching for the appointment was, and most of the LP Mama, 79% of people, the first agent that they meet with is the agent that they transact with. So when people say, well, I won't go out and show people homes unless they're pre-approved, I tend to disagree with that. I don't say go out and show them 15 homes, but I do say, like Stacey Carey, who's out there, who's an absolute beast when it comes to selling, she gives them one freebie.
Yep, I do too.
She wants to meet them out there and give. So it's the Gary V, jab, 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 give, then ask. So give them something first. Give them your time. Now, we're new in the COVID world, so over the last few months, we count, hey, would you like me to go out and do a FaceTime of that property that you're inquiring about? Now, we all know that the reality is most likely they're not going to buy that house. That's not the point. The point is to build the rapport, right? So here's another appointment that we're trying to set. We really tried to teach the live transfer. Now, where did I learn that? I learned that from Zillow. From Zillow, basically having an ISA program, they call it the concierge, but an ISA program is an internal sales agent, somebody that just makes calls all day. They're a phone jockey, and they're asking these really good questions, qualifying people, and putting them on the phone with us. And that's one of the things that I do with the agents on my team. I qualify people, and I'm not working with buyers anymore. And what do? I don't say, well, I'll have Stacy call you. No, I got them on the phone. So I do a 3-way call over to Stacy. Stacy, boom, okay, I'm going to set you up. I build rapport, set them up. Stacy, I have Mildred on the line. Mildred's looking for a property in Port St. Lucie. Gave her a little background on you. Mildred, Stacy's going to do a great job by you. Boom. Now Stacy's got her on the line, because what is the toughest thing to do these days? Get somebody on the phone. Yep. Everyone's a text. They barely email. Might be able to get them through DM, because Joe's really good with the Facebook Messenger. So that's one of the appointments as well. And then also, like I was doing with John today, what about that person that's up in Pennsylvania or your beloved Minnesota, Joe? So they're moving, right? They're moving. So we're teaching this as well. So you're moving up there. Do you own a property, or are you renting? Oh, you own. Great. Now, are you going to have to sell that property? You're first finding out, do they have to sell that property first? You know where I'm going with this, right? Yep. So now you want to potentially get a referral. Now, certainly you want to get a referral for the money, but you also want to know, to Joe's point, because you want to know who the other agent is up there, because if they got to sell that house, well, you want to know it's marketed properly, and you want to know when it goes under agreement how solid that deal is.
I want a good agent on that one.
You want, right? And that's not just for you, Joe. That's for them.
It is.
None of this begats the commission. It's all about the service, and that you're trying to help people save time, because they don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
And they don't know what they don't know unless they're asked really good questions. That's what this is all about.
Well, I appreciate this, man. I think it's awesome. Again, I know we're trying to do a lot of different things to really grow what it is real estate agents have access to here on the Treasure Coast. And guys, this isn't just a Treasure Coast thing, even though I keep saying that. You can be in Virginia, you can be in California. It does not matter. As long as you can hit the time, which is 8 a.m. every single morning, Eastern Standard Time. So in California, you want to get out of bed and get there at 5 a.m. Man, that is showing some dedication to your craft. All you got to do is DM us, send me an email, put a comment down here, and we will definitely get you that Zoom link. But Alex, I really appreciate that, man. That's pretty cool.
Awesome, brother. Well, thanks for showcasing it. And we're seeing you in next Monday at 8:30, right? So
Absolutely.
The real estate conversations. We're going to start bringing influencers in to give their perspective on it. One of these days, we're going to get you in the role play, Joe. We know how busy you are. But everybody, iron sharpens iron. So if you're in a room with people that are tinfoil, you're going to be tinfoil, and you're going to crumple easily, and you're going to tarnish easily. Iron sharpens iron. And, we're very intentional about our room, and we hold it sacred. We hold the space sacred. There's no complaining. There's no squirreling. There's no talking about other things. We're there to honor the space to all get better. And that means that we hold true to the dedication to, actually role playing and not talking about, anything else other than that. And then the real estate conversations to help people understand how to do certain things within the industry that they may not have known. So that's it, man.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Again, if you want to take part in this, all you got to do is put your email in the comments or DM me and ask for it. We'll get you the Zoom link. Again, that is every Monday through Friday. Alex, I appreciate it, my man.
Appreciate you, my man.
Have a great night.